next performer is Dion Price in Raised in Hell. This piece is a one-man presentation on the humor and hardship of a dysfunctional upbringing. It touches on a young teenage boy's struggle to survive a challenging family life in a broken home, poverty, and an alcoholic mother. Please welcome Dion Price.
You have no control of the family you're born into. You have no control of the environment you're forced to be raised in. But you can control how that environment will affect you. You just have to play with the hand that's being dealt to. I wasn't dealt a great hand. Matter of fact, somebody would say, I was dealt a pretty crappy hand. And it went a little something like this. Card number one, alcoholic mother. Card number two, no father. Who's dealing this? Card number three, living in poverty. Card number four, in and out of foster homes. Oh, who's dealing here? Card number five, wrong place, wrong time. Living in the South Central LA during the heart of the crack epidemic. The worst time in history to be in LA. What a hand. My mother migrated from the South to escape segregation and an abusive alcoholic husband, only to become somewhat of an abusive alcoholic herself. She migrated from the South, and alcohol was a challenge for her. It was a vehicle that caused instability and dysfunction. Came out to LA. My mother's drink of choice was a screwdriver. Anybody know what a screwdriver is? Vodka and what? Orange juice, right? So now vodka is clear and don't have much smell to it. So as a kid, I thought it was the orange juice that had her losing her damn mind. So I wouldn't see nothing but her drink this orange juice, and she would lose it and start cussing people out, throwing knives at people. I'm like, what is in this orange juice that got this woman acting so crazy? Right? This beautiful, nurturing woman would transform into this abusive and violent person in seconds. That orange juice, what is in this orange juice? So naturally, I had a phobia of orange juice. I'd be over my cousin's house and family said, yeah, you want some orange juice? I'm slapping out people's hands. My uncle said, I don't know what's wrong with this boy. Something ain't right. Well, they pour out one more carton of orange juice, I'm gonna choke the hell out of him. So needless to say, I was damaged good, right? My mother was a sharp, she had a very sharp tongue, being from the South. She couldn't say nothing to her. She hit you one of them Southern cliches, you couldn't say nothing to her. We get in trouble. I said, didn't I tell you to clean up this room? Well, I was gonna do it. Was gonna my ass. I was gonna be the damn president. Everything was her ass, by the way. I wanted to do it. Well, I wanted my ass. People in hell wanted ice water. Couldn't say nothing to it, right? I break something by accident. I said, well, I didn't mean to do it. Well, I didn't mean to have you. I said, but you're here, ain't you? Well, it was an accident. So were you. She was that vicious. She would hit me with something. I was a premature. I was born a little young, a little too soon. So I was always the smallest and underdeveloped kid. And she had that sharp tongue. She didn't care. She said, you were half-made, homemade, no ass, flat ass. Matter of fact, you ain't even got no ass. You just got a line in your butt. Go sit your ass, sit your line down somewhere. She was vicious. So you couldn't be sensitive in my household. But what she was doing, I don't know if it was intentional, but she was preparing me for school. Because by the time I got to grade school, the kids would start teasing me and start talking about me and teasing. I was like, really? This all y'all got this week? I got called worse at breakfast this morning. So she was vicious that way, right? Alcoholism also was coupled by incarceration, also nursed on the welfare system in an unhealthy health situation, could not provide stability for a young man. So naturally, there was poverty. So some of the basic things that most people need, they escape me. Some basic things such as having lunch to go to school. Most of my classmates would have nice juice boxes, sandwiches with the beautifully nicely cut pieces of fruit. What I would have, Powdered eggs, powdered potatoes, powdered milk, all this powdered stuff from going to school, nothing solid. Going to school every day with this powdered stuff. Even the teachers and instructors began to get suspicious. They thought it was a 10-year-old drug dealer. What the hell are you doing with all this powder stuff? What is this, dope? Oh, this is my lunch, relax. This is what I had to deal with. Also, holidays, which are supposed to be joyful, became stressful and unenjoyable. Halloween. Most kids would have, with a mother with not resources, being poor made you very resourceful. So she was very creative. So Halloween couldn't afford to get no costumes, Superman, Batman, Dracula, all these great costumes. What would I have? She would go in very creatively, get a brown paper bag, shove it on my head, and poke holes in it. That was it. Good luck. Go ahead. And one of the holes would be bigger than the other one, of course. I have like a gravy stain on the back of mine. It was pretty pitiful. Go on out, do what you got to do on those things. The clothes was already raggedy. So and somebody would always ask me, Dion, who are you supposed to be? And I snapped back, I'm a pissed off kid with a welfare costume on. Leave me alone. Holidays, bad. So the alcoholism eventually led to domestic violence, as it would. Those doggone, that doggone special orange juice. So I remember the culminating event that happened that changed everything. I was out at 5 years old. My mother was the last of 9. And I remember very vividly, one of my older sisters dropped a bomb, told my mother she was pregnant at 16, and all hell broke loose. I could hear it escalating. The violence and the voices came up and it escalated to my mother taking an RC cola bottle, breaking it over the counter, and coming after my sister. Horrible scene. And in an attempt to block the blow, she did end up with cuts to her head, and her head. It was a horrible scene for a 6-year-old to see all this going on right in front of me. My sister ran out of the house with all this blood off the street. Commotion came out, and all of a sudden I knew things would never be the same. The police were on the scene, people all around the neighborhood. They brought my mother out of the house. She still had her house coat and house shoes on. She never broke eye contact with me. I could see her, and I would never forget that moment, seeing my mother being put in a squad car and driving away in a black and white LAPD. It was a horrible scene. They say all it takes is one bad decision that can cost you everything. Your life, your freedom, and in my case, your family. I wouldn't see my mom after that for 18 months as a 6-year-old. The only time I would see my mother was through a small, crowded window of a jail visiting center. Or I'm sitting on a hard bench in a courtroom at 6 years old, being asked questions by attorneys and adults about the worst day of my life. Imagine that. With my greatest need, my mom, parent, right there, I was not allowed to hug her, not allowed to touch her, couldn't even do anything, could barely speak to her. Putting the greatest need, the nurturing thing of a parent, right in front of a child's face and never giving them access to it is emotional child abuse. And I went through that for years, for 18 months. So inevitably, we were on our way to the wonderful world of foster home system. The foster care system in LA at the time, in the early and mid-70s, was not sophisticated at all. It was eventually individual warehouses for unwanted children. For one reason or another, your family was either not willing or unable to take care of you. So you were in and out of these foster homes. And by this time, of my mom's 9 kids, only the 4 younger ones was going through this system. I'm the last of that. And this wonderful family was gracious enough to take all 4. Now imagine having 4 kids in your house. This woman was generous enough, and her middle-aged husband, to take all 4 of us. Let's call her Miss H. Miss H was a wonderful woman, but she was kind of special. She had dogs she'd put in the house, and the dogs would come in every now and then, and they would take a dump in the middle of the doggone kitchen, on the kitchen floor. And this woman, Miss H, would, go over there and pick up the fresh, moist dog mess with her bare hands. And we would punch her out. We would see that, and of course she would wash her hands thoroughly, but to a kid, those hands are never clean. And forever, we stayed with this woman for almost a year, and we would never allow this woman to touch us. She'd go to break and be like, come on, I did everything I could to avoid this woman from touching us. We would have meetings that night to decide on who she touched that day. If she touched you, you was disowned for life. She had us seeing therapists and counselors, and we're like, ain't nothing wrong with us. What's wrong with you? You need a counselor, you need therapy. You might pick up dogs with their bare hands. They got some screw loose, right? One of the happiest days of my life when I stayed there was my mother was getting released from the county jail. And one of my older sisters was coming to pick us up. So again, we had all our stuff packed up, ready to go. One of the most joyous times to say you're going home. Now, it doesn't matter if we were going into what situation, as long as we're coming home together with your family, it was special. So on the last day, we have all that stuff packed up against the wall, and this woman comes up to me, Miss Boo Boo Hands, and says, Dion, I'm gonna miss you. And grabbed me by the I was screaming like somebody stabbed me in the back. Miss Boo Boo Hands and touched my face. I was done. I really did need some therapy after that. I was messed up, right? But needless to say, we knew we were not going into lap of luxury. My mother was coming out of county jail. She had a criminal record. She had alcoholic problems. She had no job experience. She was a single parent with 4 kids. So needless to say, we wasn't going into lap of luxury. And like my older brother Herman would say, it's better to struggle together than to live well apart. We didn't mind struggling as long as we were together. So now I'm in middle school. And middle school is a place where you establish your identity, your culture, your social reputation. But my mother, being nursed on the welfare system, did all she could, but she had to shop for clothes and things in the same place we got grocery. She don't get grocery and shoes in the same location. That's a fashion moment. So this is a circumstance we're in. So my mother would buy me these imitation Nikes at the time. They were called Ikes. Now Ikes is Nike spelled backwards. The swoosh used to go up. The swoosh was going down. The Nikes were new, so I didn't know. It was a backwards and upside down. As a matter of fact, I was dyslexic anyway, so shit looked normal to me. But I stepped foot on campus with those upside down Nikes. I took one step. Hey, Jim, got some upside down Nikes. 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 5 kids, 9 kids following me around, teasing me, harassing me, really just giving me the blues all day long, how horrible it is to go through that. I was so upset. Finally, I got upset, smacked some kid in the face, and I ran home. I took those shoes off, I threw them in the garbage, and I walked home the rest of the day barefoot. I hated this situation. I hated my circumstances. And it wasn't the upside down Nikes, it was something called Pro Kids. Pro Kids were imitation too. Pro Kids had 2 stripes. So I learned from my situation. So this time, instead of getting clowned again in school, you know what I did? I went and got me a Sharpie and painted the extra stripes so they would look like Adidas. I did what I could, and I was swiping by, so I kept moving. I didn't want nobody to see me holding it up. I never stood still. You can't use the bathroom. I don't want nobody to see me holding it as Adidas, right? So those are my circumstances. I hated my situation. I didn't know what alcoholism was. I just know my mother would drink this orange juice, and things went bad real quick. I hated my circumstances. Even at that age, I didn't hate my mother, but I hated my situation. Even at that young age, I was saying, listen, I got to do what I got to do to get the hell out of the situation somehow, some way. Something strange and sad happened in LA in the mid-80s. If you know anything about LA and the history, crack epidemic hit. And crack was special. We saw people who were normally responsible doing some very strange, addictive things and do anything they could to stay and get high during that time. And I'm going through high school at the time. It was not a place to be. I saw a man sell a whole car, running car, Cadillac for some crack. So I saw somebody break into my house, running down the street with a fully decorated Christmas tree. He had stolen out somebody's house. What the hell are you gonna do with it? This was crack behavior. It was strange behavior. So, but this time I'm in high school, all of my older siblings dumping on their own. Now it's just me and my mom. And alcoholism, along with health problems, have completely consumed my mom. And so it's just me and her. So one evening, I'm in my home, minding my own business. I hear something in the house. I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I'm a little paranoid because things were happening. I kind of wondered, my mother was asleep. It's like after 12 a.m. So I'm creeping up and see what the heck is this noise? So I got me a bat and I'm creeping and someone's in the kitchen. I'm like, what the heck? So I get closer and I open up the kitchen and realize it's the neighborhood crackhead that broke and snuck in the house. He's in the kitchen cooking. He had omelet, he was making omelet. He had cheese and eggs. I'm like, what the hell? First I was mad, I was like, wait, I was impressed. I'm like, I almost actually make him one before he left. But I was like, man, if you don't get out of my house, I chased this man down the street. I'm like, get the hell. And I was like, I was pretty good athlete, but I couldn't catch these dudes. Let me tell you something. Never underestimate the quickness of a crackhead. I could not catch these dudes. But on my way back home, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. The air is hitting my face. I have no shoes. I'm thinking, damn, wow, you got to get the hell out of LA somehow, some way. It hadn't happened. So now, after crack resulted in a lot of gang wars and drug wars, making LA one of the most violent cities in the United States at the time in the mid-'80s. People were getting shot and killed left and right. It was a horrible place to be, absolutely horrible. And I'm going through high school at the time. I'm a prime suspect or a victim for everything. So I'm paranoid. Talk about PTSD. So one thing I did do was got my first job at this time. I got my first job at KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now I'm getting my own stuff. First thing I got when my first paycheck was some real doggone Nikes. Real Nikes. I made sure the food was going up, right? So I worked the closing shift. So I get off of school, off my shift. Another item I bought was a fashion statement at the time. You know anything about the 80s? You had to have one of them big old puffy starter jackets. It was a sports jacket. Everybody had one, right? So I had one. I thought, boy, you couldn't tell me nothing. I had me some chicken. I had me some money. What else you need? You give a brother money, a jacket, and some chicken. You on top of the world. So I got my paycheck. I bought myself a new jacket. I had some money in my pocket. I had $71.51. I was feeling good. I'm on my way home, and I'm running through these neighborhoods. Now remember, different neighborhoods, different colors. What am I wearing? A big old red starter jacket. So I'm on the bus, but what I wouldn't realize, what my older brother told me, always monitor your environment, make adjustments, and don't want to settle. I wasn't paying attention. I'm riding through the neighborhood on the bus, and remember, gangs, I got a red jacket. I'm going through a neighborhood that's not so kind of red. So who I see on the corner? The neighborhood thug, notorious gang member named Boone, jumps on the bus. He sees me, and I stick out like a sore thumb. I'm in the wrong spot with the wrong color on. I hear about this all the time. People getting shot and killed. It would happen so often, you didn't even hear it on the news. So I'm paranoid anyway. It's late at night, few people on the bus. This man gets on the bus, comes straight to the back of the bus, comes right up to me. My heart is beating through my chest. I'm hungry. What am I gonna do? He walks up to me. What up the red jacket, cuz? Pulls me up, not trying to back up. Wait a minute. And he steps back and he has a gun. And my life flashing before my face, I just froze. I'm there. I just saying, there's nothing I can do. And he did what he gonna do. He did what he did. Took my money, took my jacket. He even took my chicken, which was kind of dirty, right? If you're gonna jack somebody, at least leave them something to eat. But from that point, I was so paranoid about where I went, what I wear, who I was with, and what neighborhood I was in. I was so stressed out, it was amazing, right? Going on to school in an environment where I had to navigate around social issues was the peer pressure of avoiding some of these environments. After a high school football game, and I know in my environment, the worst and most vicious gang in Los Angeles at the time was called the Rolling 60s. So after a football game, my peers, as we try to get to navigate through this high school year, senior year, they said, let's go to an event, let's go to a party. And I was always a scary kid, and I didn't mind being scary because fear is a protection. So I always used to run from stuff. So I wasn't afraid of stuff. I would run. And I said, you can't run from everything, Deion. And somebody said, well, take karate. I took karate one time, and they said, okay, good, that'll protect you. And everybody started carrying guns. Karate's no good when everybody else is carrying guns. So I would keep running. I run from everything. They said, no, karate's good. Karate's the oldest known defense. Oldest known, nothing older than karate, empty hand. And somebody said, well, it ain't older than running. So I took that down. So anytime I had some trouble, I would just run. So when they asked me where this party was, my first question was, where's the party? The party's on 54th Street. Really? Well, I ain't the smartest fella in the world, but 51st Street is pretty close to 60. I ain't going. I ain't going. You can call me what you want to. Deion, you scared, you punk, you this. You can call me whatever you want to, but you're going to call me still alive. I'm not doing no party on 54th Street in Los Angeles. I'm done. But they all went. Called me all kind of punks and scared anyway. But I was there. I took all that. Went home, and within 2 hours, from that very event. Newsflash, what happened? Breaking news. There was a shooting at a resident. Wouldn't you know it, someone had shot up a party with a bunch of high schoolers, the very party that I was just invited to. Apparently some of those rolling 60s had rolled up to this party on 54th Street. They got turned away, and somebody turned them away, and they came back and shot up the party. About 5 or 6 kids were killed, and several of them were injured. To this day, it's called the 54th Street Massacre. And I would have been right there if I hadn't been afraid to fear. Once again, Tiana, you got to get the hell out of LA somehow, some way. And unfortunately, our stability did not change. We kept moving, being unstable. But I made a promise to myself, no matter where we moved, I was not going to change high schools. I was developing a little reputation. I played a little sports and I had a little reputation. The only stability I had was my high school reputation and my high school environment. So we moved this time. Guess where we moved? I went to Dorsey High, which is on the west side of LA, which is a blood territory. If you know that, unfortunately, that's what the area. We moved on 82, south side of LA, which is blue territory. So I had to go, when I got out of practice, 7, 8 o'clock at night, I literally had to change clothes because I couldn't wear Dorsey gear because I didn't want to be affiliated. Couldn't wear red, couldn't wear blue, couldn't wear black. There was a gang. I just couldn't wear, I just started wearing plaid. Everything I went wrong got me plaid, everything. I just started wearing plaid, no plaid gangs around here. I'm just trying to be safe. I did what I had to do. But that bus ride home was so stressful because I was traumatized because I was in a new neighborhood. And the last thing you wanted to be at this time was the new guy in the neighborhood walking through this neighborhood at night. So imagine how stressful it was for me to try to get home. The challenge of having to go through a neighborhood where these new persons, you do not want to be new in the same neighborhood. These were ruthless killers. They will take you out just by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So that bus ride was traumatizing at night because I did not want these new guys to see this new guy running through their neighborhood. It was over. So I literally had to sneak around cars through alleys just to get home, right? Going through this, I'm thinking, geez, you gotta get the hell out of LA. How you gonna do this? So eventually when I would get home, my apartment was facing Hoover Boulevard, my window and my bedroom. Everything happened on Hoover Boulevard. There was prostitution, there was drug wars, there was gangs, there was hustling, everything, you heard it all. It was a ringside seat right outside my window. When I finally get home after going through all this trauma of getting home, and I get home and I relax a little bit, as soon as I take a breath to lay down after all of that, 10 o'clock at night, pop, 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 I hear gunshots. The gunshot was not uncommon. It was like almost as common as hearing a car horn. But this was dangerously close to my window. So I'm like, I didn't want to even look. So then a few moments later, I hear a commotion outside my window. A few more minutes, I hear emergency vehicles. I'm like, oh, what's going on this time? I creep out and look out my bedroom window. Apparently, a young man had been shot up the street and he made it down and collapsed right under my bedroom window. And as I'm looking out here, I saw the emergency personnel, people working on this young man. I could tell he was about late teens or early 20s, and I could see them covering him up, pronouncing him dead on the scene, right under my window. This is what I feel every day. That's a sight you will never get out of your head. From that moment, I never slept on that bed again, right by my window. You know what I did? I took the mattress on the bed, I tilted it up, and I leaned it up against the window on the front of the bed, paranoid that a stray bullet would come through my window. That's how I slept every night. Imagine getting a good night's sleep, living like that. And you know, if they say something about being trauma-informed, my teacher would be like, you're sleeping in class. Yeah, why are you not studying for the SAT test? Why are your grades slipping, right? Why aren't you applying for this? Why are you studying for the final? I'm like, really? I'm trying to just get home without being shot and killed. That was all I was in survival mode. They had no idea what this young man was going through. So again, I'm thinking, gee, somehow, some way, you got to get the hell out of there. How am I going to do that? So I start thinking enough to get enough grade point average to apply to somebody's college university. I didn't care who it was, how it was, where it was. It could be Otisburg University somewhere. I didn't really care. If they would accept me, I sent out all these letters and all these applications. And like my older brother would say, you can get 99 no's, but all you need is what? One yes. Right? And one of the happiest notices I got in the mail one day. was my acceptance letter to San Francisco State University. Go Gators, right? All I got was one, right? That was the most, I kept it. Another notice I got, my older brother got me a one-way bus ticket from Los Angeles to San Francisco. These were the most important documents in my life. I kept it with my possession all the time. I slept with them. This was it. This is my ticket for freedom. I never let these two documents out of my sight. I kept it for the next few weeks. Then it happened. June 4th, 1986, graduation. Los Angeles Coliseum, 500 Dorsey High graduates. Everybody celebrating, throwing up hats. Dion, what are you gonna do? We free, we in LA, we graduates, we gonna do? What we gonna do? I said, I don't know what y'all gonna do, but I'm getting the hell out of LA. I did not stop, I didn't pass go, I kept everything I owned. I didn't even go home after that. I went from the LA Coliseum to the bus station. Before the hat hit the ground, I was on my way. Everything I owned was 18 years of my life was in one backpack. All I had was in that backpack was my emancipation papers, my freedom papers. I had a pack of cookies. I had some drawers. And I had some real Adidas with 3 stripes. Finally, I had to make my way out of LA. And finally,